All right, welcome back to Draws and Fades, episode 86, preview of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am at Pebble Beach in Pebble Beach, California. I'm your host, Owen Vrabel, joined by my co-host, Matthew Miller.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back.
And producer Nick Boss, who it's also his birthday, and he's 30.
What's going on, boys? Thank you.
Birthday
Feels good.
boy.
You're welcome. Welcome
Hopefully the birthday boy gets a winner. That's all I asked for this year. So
Well, he already got a dog, so
that's a whole other can of worms today.
Well, welcome to the 30 crew for one, and we have good vibes at the AT&T. We did hit Danny Burger last year, so we have that going for us. But yeah, we'll give you guys a brief recap of the Farmers Insurance course preview at Pebble Beach. We are on another 3-course rotation type event, with this being a Pro-Am. So it's going to be another 54-hole cut and playing 2 times at Pebble Beach. The other 2 will be at Monterey and Spyglass. So it's a full field event. We'll give you guys our strategy for this week for betting outrights, go through the odds list on FanDuel, top of the board, mid-range and long shots, and give you our picks of the week, as well as thoughts on top 10s, 20s, first-round leaders, and one-and-dones. Please give us a follow on Twitter at Owen_Vrabel, at Matty Mills85, and at Draws_N_Fades. So, happy birthday, boss. For one, I wish you had joined when I texted you guys on Saturday morning saying I was taking Lucas to win, because to be fair, I probably wouldn't have done it if he had cashed a first-round leader bet, which, thanks to John Rahm, he didn't, because he equaled 18 on Wednesday. Insane shot. This was like the second time I've been absolutely fucked on a par 5 from 280 to Hideki at least hit it to 3 feet. I knew it was over. John Rahm hits in a 12-foot putt for eagle on Wednesday to diminish everyone's Luke List first-round leader bets. But nonetheless, Luke List, I didn't really think it was going to happen on Saturday. It was crazy because really Torrey Pines, shout out Torrey Pines, there was not a ton of easy birdie holes. Like, guys struggled down the stretch. There were so many guys that could have been in contention to even join that, shootout that he had with Will Zalatoris, extra holes. But Rahm didn't do it. Justin Rose probably thought he needed eagle. He dunks one in the water. He doesn't get there. No one got there. And Luke List, 36-year-old vet, gets his first PGA Tour win. Shocking. So I'm very happy to hit him on a 40-1 live number, but obviously the rest of our cards didn't do particularly great, although we did hit 2 top 20s each, Jason Day, Mark Leishman for myself, and Neiman and Ryan Palmer for Matt. So could have been worse. But going into Saturday, I didn't really think that Luke List had a chance at that point, but he went 6 under on Saturday, and that was enough to do it. I kind of was shocked that no one else really put up another number to really match that. And Zalatoris all day had chances to make birdie and kind of just 2-putted for par all day and ended up losing the playoff. So I was very happy for Luke, happy for myself, but wasn't really something I saw written in the stars. It was like an hour and a half of waiting, expecting someone else to catch him. So
yeah, it was weird going into Saturday. It feels weird to say the final round. I'm so used to saying Sunday, but I thought that the winning score was going to be like minus 17, whether it go to like a playoff or whatnot, because I had DJ at like minus 10 going into it, and I thought he was going to have to post like a minus 7. And, obviously Torrey Pines, tough course, the South course, but we saw like Zalatoris go low in round 3. So like the scores were out there. But like you said, it was playing tough on the final round. No one really did it. List finished, and you kind of felt like I was waiting the whole time for Rahm to kind of just get going. Like he was floating around minus 13, minus 14 for a while. Then he got to minus 14 at like the turn or around there. And I'm like, all right, like he's going to shoot like minus 2 or 3 on the back 9 at least. And he just never really did anything. And yeah, I mean, shout out Luke List for posting that number, getting in there. And it's funny because that's almost how it felt at the U.S. Open that got played at Torrey Pines last year, where like Harris English finished at like -3 or whatever. And then everybody on the back nine started going backwards. Remember, like Bryson blew up, Rory blew up, and it was like, oh my God, is this going to like end up winning this thing? Rahm got it done that way, but it is kind of funny how that back nine, when they set it up tough in the final round, like it's hard to make birdies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and especially like Luke listed it in such a weird way where he had a eagle look from 20 feet on 15 and blew it for par, and then and then on, was it 16 is the par 3, or so I don't know, I forget the holes, but either way he had a putt from 6 feet on the par 3 16 that ended up giving him the -14, and it was like, all right, maybe this is, I mean, maybe, but like even then it was like, all right, there's so many other guys around, like there's no way this number holds. He ends up making a big putt on 18 and then just waits. And they kept showing him on the practice screens where he's just missing 3-foot putts.
The constant cutovers to him on the putting green. Like, I mean, he was literally like this far away and he just, nope. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, just
so he's getting him all out of the way.
Keep the camera panned up. Like, don't even show the ball on the putting green.
And also, I'd never seen anything like it where on the playoff hole, they both hit their balls within inches of each other. And List had like a decent out, but then Zalatoris had a better out. And then List, again, it felt like every time I don't know, it's crazy. Every time he had a chance, he then put it to 2 feet, tap and birdie. And if he didn't have that, I don't think he wins. Like, if Zalatoris putts first and misses, I think Luke List putts and misses, and we go to another playoff hole.
On Sunday, too, because there was no way they were playing anymore on Saturday.
Right. So. And it was just like, that was the only way he was going to win. Put it within 3 feet.
Zalatoris, he almost made the putt on 18 to win. Like, it looked like it was good the whole time from that camera angle. And then it just almost like a similar putt on the playoff hole.
Yeah.
He completely pushed it on the playoff hole, too.
I was actually like, all right, it's over. Oh, maybe not. And then, honestly, even then, it's like, all right, Luke has been off the course for over an hour, and Zalatoris has been playing well all day. I mean, he hasn't been making the birdie putts, and that came to fruition again. Like, he had a makeable birdie putt in the playoff hole, didn't make it. So
yeah, it does go to show, though, I think with Zalatoris, that kind of what we've been saying. Like, I think it's fair to say now, it's better to play him on, like, tougher courses, because he was grinding away on Sunday, playing really well, but on like a birdie fest, like, you can't really depend on his putter to make those birdies enough to win.
Yeah, I would say that. But I would say he also, like, you would expect him to 3-putt more. He didn't. He kept himself in it all day. So
you're right.
I think on a tougher courses, like, if he's hitting greens in regulation, he's a machine. I mean, he was the best iron player pretty much all week. Luke List had big days on Wednesday and I think Saturday definitely not Saturday, Sunday, where he putted well, and you can't even, or not Sunday, Saturday, where he didn't even putt well. He putted really well on Wednesday.
He had
4 strokes on Wednesday.
On Friday, because we both had Luke List in a matchup too, so I was following him just as closely as you were. I think he had 2 3-putts from like 20 feet. Yeah. And we were both just like beside ourselves. It's like, okay, this is at least a par. We move on. What?
Right. And so I'd already taken him outright at that point. He went backwards. So it was like, all right, this Luke List experiment to win a tournament we know how this ends. And somehow he ends up winning. So I will give him that. Justin Rose, Jason Day obviously played well too.
That Jason Day hole out was incredible.
Yeah. At that point too, I thought it was over. It's like, all right, Jason Day needs one more birdie. Like 4 or 5 holes left. Insane. So shout out Luke List. Shout out Torrey Pines.
Great tournament.
And Will Zalatoris. I think you're right. In any event where birdies are tough to attain, he's probably going to be pretty good. I mean, he's really good off the tee, great with his approach shots. And it's like, can he make enough putts to win? I mean, he came in second in a playoff and was definitely not – he was losing strokes putting. So at the end of the day, he's obviously absolutely ridiculous with every other aspect of his game besides putting. So with that being said, he is back this week, and this field sucks at Pebble Beach, but we're here to try to give our best outright thoughts for the week. So yeah, Matt, I mean, we have a 3-course rotation this week, which I hate. The Pro-Am, I hate.
Yeah.
All that being said, we did hit Dana Berger here last year, so hopefully, the good vibes can return. But it is tough to use any statistics, so to speak, besides the really course history, where you have 3 different courses in play to make some plays. So 3 different courses, Matt. What do you got for us?
Yeah, it's a weird tournament, weird setup. Pro-Am, like you said, so each group is only going to be 2 pros and then 2 amateurs. You'll have Ray Romano and Macklemore are here every year. Who knows
Larry the Cable Guy
up this year? Yeah, but we're back to a 3-course setup last year. They changed it to 2 because of the COVID situation. We're back to 3 this year. So as you alluded to in the opening, we'll have 2 rounds of Pebble Beach, which is the main course. Everyone will play that one of the first 3 days, and then if you make the cut after day 3, you'll play at the final round. That is a par 72, 6,972 yards, Poa greens. The second course is Spyglass Hill, par 72, 7,041 yards. It's Poa greens. And then Monterey Peninsula, the third course, par 71, 6,957 yards, also Poa greens. That's the easiest of the 3. Typically, we don't have any kind of shot tracker on Monterey or Spyglass, so it's going to be a pain in the ass to follow outside of Pebble Beach. As you can tell, the course they're all 3 are very short. They're all under 7,100 yards. The funny thing is about the past winners, Dana Berger last year -18, Nick Taylor -19 in 2020, Phil Mickelson -19 in 2019. But what I was getting to is usually with these short track Pro-Am type events, you see a birdie fest like we had a couple weeks ago with the Amex. This really doesn't play that way. You would have to go back to 2015 to find a winner that got to -20. So you do kind of hang around these high teens for the winning score. So it's not so much of a birdie fest. We have had some real long shots win, so I think deep plays are still possible. But I think because of the small greens that we have this week on all 3 courses, pebbles are very small. Monterey Peninsula, I think, are the biggest of the 3, and they're still below the tour average. So all 3 are below tour average sizes, and you get some wind, Pebble being on the coast. That comes into play as well. It's not quite as easy as some of these, Pro-Am type. Well, I guess there's not that many Pro-Am events, but it's not as easy as you would think with the amateurs playing here as well.
Yeah. So thankfully, this is one of the last 54. This is the last 54-hole cut events we'll have to see this year. So
yeah, thank God. So what I'm kind of looking for this week, I think approach is going to be key. Small greens, as we alluded to, you're going to have the irons on point, or you're going to be scrambling around a lot. I think, that leading into around the green is going to be important because it's going to be tough to hit all these greens. Putting on POA, because they are all POA greens, all 3 surfaces. Last week we had 1 POA, 1 bent, I believe. This is the first tournament of the year where it's all POA for the week. And then because of the short course, I'm going to kind of zone in on proximity anywhere between like 100 to 150 yards.
Yeah.
Just because that seems like a fair number with the yardage on the course. This isn't the type of course where distance is going to be a major advantage off the tee. The driving distance is well below, tour average this week on this course. So it kind of mitigates the longer drivers. I don't think accuracy is going to be too important this week. Obviously, playing out of the fairway is going to help you hit those greens, but the rough's not that penal. So I think you're going to get away with missing fairways. But obviously, anytime you hit it, you're going to be at an advantage. I don't know if you're looking for anything else in particular this week, or you're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I mean, it's definitely a short iron type event where whoever hits their wedges the best is probably going to have the best week. Obviously, you're going to need to make birdies. Not as many birdies as a birdie fest, so to speak, but you're going to need to make birdies when other guys aren't. So it's going to be tough. I think we've seen a giant spread of different types of guys win this We've seen Daniel Berger win this last year, plus 1,800, plus 20 to 1, something like that. We've seen Nick Taylor go off 160 to 1. Ted Potter go off at over 400 to 1. We've seen Spieth win it back in 2017. It's like the middle tier that we love hasn't been too profitable here, which is scary because that's usually where we like to live. And it makes sense because if you look at this odds board, which we'll get into, not many guys who win a ton of tournaments are in that range because there aren't that many good players there. There's like 7 of the top 50 players in the world here this week. A lot of players over in Saudi. And that's why guys who, are going off at deep odds have a chance. And that's scary, so to speak, where long shots are definitely in play. So it's tough to potentially narrow that down. And if you feel super confident about a long shot, definitely don't feel afraid to shoot it this week. It's another one of those weeks where it's worth it to, send a few long shots out there. That being said, I'm definitely on, I think you need to have a specific skill set that's working really well for you in a given week, whether that's your iron game that's giving you, strokes gain on approach, or you're missing the greens but recovering well on strokes gain around the green. There's different ways you can do this, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for guys that are hitting their irons well, make birdies more often than not, and are good with their short irons and can putt well in POA. So it's definitely a tough week to handicap, but there being 3 different courses. You have a lot of different variables at play. So it's tough to say that hammering the top of the board is a good idea. I definitely don't think that's the way to go. But we have seen plenty of guys less than 30 to 1 win at this event. So the guys that are here typically much better than some of the rest of the field. So I'll say that. Other than that, I think it's kind of a crapshoot this week, like it is with a lot of these pro-am type events. So it's definitely not easy, and we are running hot at the AT&T Pro-Am, so we'll hopefully keep it going this year. But with that being said, we'll go into the odds list on FanDuel, DraftKings and FanDuel. A little bit of discrepancies this week. Also, Will Zalatoris is now he's withdrawn because of COVID, so he won't be here this week. But we have Patrick Cantlay at 7.5 to 1, Daniel Berger at 12 to 1, Jason Day, Jordan Spieth at 17 and 19 to 1, and then Cameron Tringale, Seamus Power, Maverick McNeely at 21 to 1. And I'll include Justin Rose at 24 to 1 as well. So that's the top of the board. And if you're wondering why Maverick McNeely is at 21 to 1, so are we. But that being said, were you interested at the top of the board at all? I will say Maverick McNeely, the model I ran, he came out number 2, which is because he's pretty good on POA. He's pretty good at making birdies, and he's played well on these type of courses. So I don't think it's insane, but it's crazy that he's at 21 to 1 without ever have won a tournament before. You probably could have got better numbers before the Zalatoris, WD, but this is the top of the board we're working with.
Yeah, some of the guys on the top of the board, it's like I just couldn't, even if they win. Like Tringale was number 1 in the model that I ran first, but like there's no way that I'm going to take 34-year-old Cameron Tringale to win this event when he hasn't won any events. His only PGA Tour win is like a event where he was teammates with Jason Day. So like he hasn't won an individual event. He's 34. I'm not going to take him at 21 to 1 to win this event. So him, McNeely, I get, even Power's playing well. He hasn't won much. So yeah, it's tough at the top of the board because these aren't like perennial winners like we're used to seeing week in and week out. And even like the veterans like Rose and Day, and Spieth to a degree, it's been kind of a while since they were consistently winning on tour. So it's kind of hard with all these guys to trust them at that low of a number.
So that's a no for you, anything under 30 to 1.
Yeah, no for me.
Yeah, I was thinking that originally for a while, and I jumped on Jason Day. Cash a top 20 on him last week, and he is one of those guys that obviously when everything's going really well, he looks like one of the best players in the world. It's been a long time, certainly been a long time. There's no consistency you can speak of over the last year. I mean, he's been missing cuts left and right, hasn't played consistently well in a long time, but these are the courses that he loves. And coming off a third place finish last week at Farmers, coming back to a course where he consistently plays well, he has 7 consecutive top 11 performances. It's hard to not respect that, especially considering how inconsistent he's been. It's like, all right, this guy clearly likes his course, and there probably is something to say about the strength of field where he's playing against guys that aren't nearly as good as some of the other fields he'll be in. So I'm going to go to Jason Day this week. I got him at 22-1. I'm going to take him outright. I didn't think I was going to get there, but I'm getting there because I don't trust a lot of guys here. And there are definitely better numbers down the way that we'll get to. But even then, you're tossing a 50, 60, or above bet out there. None of them I had a super amount of conviction on. So Jason Day, perennial winner, and definitely has had his share of good times at Pebble Beach, I think is worth a shot at the outright, considering how well he played last week. So that's where I'm starting. And I'm also going to Seamus Power, which I also did not think I was going to get to, but I got him at 26-1. And he's been one of the most consistent guys on tour recently. And I think in a lesser field where his irons are going to come to play, it's tough to look away from Seamus Power. He's been by far and away the most consistent guy. I mean, besides obviously Cantlay and Berger, that you can kind of count on to give you a chance this week. So I don't love the numbers. They suck, to be honest. Like Jason Day not winning in a long time should probably be over 40-1. But in this type of field, I went to the top with Day and Power, and I'm feeling pretty good about him considering the field is just weak. And I think they both have the game that can win here. And Jason Day has proven it time and time again that when his irons are on, he's going to play well at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say full disclosure. It's not like as we move down the board, there's any guy that I feel great about winning. Like, I think pretty much the whole board kind of sucks this week. There's guys we can find relative value, but there's no one that jumps out as like a must take. So, me not getting there on any of these guys, I think Jason Day is probably one of the better, one of the more elite players in the field. And like you said, he has played really well here in the past. So I don't think that it's a bad choice. I just personally couldn't get there. But yeah, I mean, as we get down the list, you'll see a big drop off coming very soon.
Yeah, no, you will see it. And it's crazy because Seamus Power, under 30-1 sounds horrible. And it really sounds horrible to even say. So that's how it is. That's what we're working with this week. I will have other picks down the line that there are guys that are in worse form that are better numbers, but it's tough to say. So
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my card and I just can't even believe I wrote some of these guys down, but this is where we're at this week.
I should have included Matt Fitzpatrick because he's actually slid down to 29-1 on FanDuel. He started out over 40, so he's down to 29-1. And then we have Mito Pereira, Lanto Griffin, Mackenzie Hughes, Christian Bezainhout, Ryan Palmer, all at 41-1 on FanDuel. And then Kevin Streelman at 46. And then a slew of guys at 50, including Matt Jones, Kevin Kisner, Brian Harmon, Russell Knox, Denny McCarthy. And then Michael Thompson and Tom Hoagy at 55. So that's kind of the next grouping we're working with. They've really slashed a ton of guys who do not win on the PGA Tour into this 30 to 90 range, which is maybe why the 30 to 90 range does not do well at the AT&T Pebble Beach. But here we are. So they're more enticing than some of the guys over 100. That's for sure. That might not mean a lot, though. So I'll let you lead it off. I'll give you the 30 to 60 range, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off in the order that I got them in. I'm gonna go back to my guy, C. Bez, Christian Bezadenhout,
Seabez.
50-1. 3 straight made cuts to start 2022. We saw him at 17th at the Sony a couple weeks ago. That was another one of these, shorter courses that we're going to see, all 3 of them this week. He's gained strokes and approach in all 3 of those events. He gained over 3 strokes on the field and approach in 2 of the 3. So I like kind of where his iron game is at right now. Last 24 rounds in this field, he is 5th in proximity, 75 to 100, 12th, 100 to 125, and 26th in 125 to 150. So he's pretty good in those iron distances that we're going to be looking at this week as well. So I like his irons. I think that he's, we talked about him a few weeks ago. I think he's a nice young player. The putter can get hot. That's what we're going to have to hope for this week. Off the tee is kind of his struggle, but that should sort of be mitigated this week, as we mentioned a little bit in the opening. So I'm going to take a shot at him, 50-1. We'll see what he has.
Yeah, I'm on board. Actually, I'm with the Seabez crowd this week. It's funny because you really haven't seen him sniff much of a win.
No.
But he's pretty consistent. I mean, I just talked about Seamus Power being consistent. The guy has 1 missed cut in his last 20 PGA Tour events. So give him the benefit of the doubt in a weaker field. I think a 50-1 number is pretty good. Obviously, his numbers moved down now to 41. So I think we got a little value there before the Zalatoris withdrawal. But yeah, I don't know. He's certainly got the ability. I mean, he's top 20 in this field and approach. The short irons, like you mentioned, are good. The putter has got to be better, but that's what we're working with. Luke List won last week and so anything can happen. So Seabez, I like that. I'm also going to take Mito this week, which I think we got blessed because we got a 60-1 number.
Yeah, I'm on Mito as well.
Yeah.
We got a good
60-1 number on Mito. He's 3rd in this field in strokes gained approach over his last 36 rounds. 10th in good drives gained, which we mentioned that the driver distance might not be important, but in terms of him being able to hit greens from where he ends up out in the fairway or in the short rough, I trust him. His short irons are good. The putter, again, is another thing. Similar to Will Zalatoris, this guy's elite with his irons, but he's going to have to make some putts. In a not super birdie type event, I'm hoping that he can claw his way into contention here. He doesn't have any history here, so, there are guys that obviously play well here year in and year out, but I think he's special enough of talent that I think he'll be live hopefully this weekend, and at 60-1 I can resist. So good value.
Yeah, I think it is a pretty good number. He was kind of toward the middle-ish part of last year. Everybody's favorite guy on Twitter. I mean, he still kind of is, I guess, but it was like he was the guy. He was on everyone's card week in and week out. So 60-1 in this week of a field, it felt really good. He played, pretty well last week. His irons were pretty good. He gained 3.7 strokes and approach, so I like that. And yeah, like you said, I mean, if he can stay hot with those irons the way he can, I think should be in the mix this week. So I am on board as well. I think there is some slight value on that, despite the fact that he hasn't, won before on tour. But
yeah, but it's crazy because, in comparison to, let's say, even Seabez, he has 3 top 6s in his last 12 appearances, and I mean, he only has 2 missed cuts. He's a better golfer than most. So I think the win is coming. I don't know exactly when it's going to come. But when you can get a 60-1, when the numbers are 40-1 on a guy that is this potential of elite status, I think Mito is definitely worth the shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the books might just be falling asleep because last week, I think, was his first event of the year.
Yeah, it was.
So
yeah.
I think just because it was such a premier field, he didn't really stand out that much. I think this might be, one of the things where if he plays well this week, we're going to start seeing him slide down the odds list, kind of like we did toward the middle of last year. So, yeah, I think we're getting a good number here. I think that's I'm going to take, this type of number on him all year, especially in this strength of field. So I like it.
All aboard.
I also am going to take in this range. I got a 60-1 on Mackenzie Hughes.
There it is.
This is where it gets dicey. I never would have
taking him too, dude. So we're on the same page here in the middle.
I never would have thought I'd be taking Mackenzie Hughes, but I do like the fact that he can get red hot putting. He is 4th in the field in last 24 round strokes gained, par 4, 350 to 400. So on this shorter course, Pebble Beach, I believe 4 of the par 4s fall in that range. He also plays well on the shorter style courses. So in the last 24 rounds, he's 10th in strokes gained total, courses less than 7,200 yards. So Mackenzie Hughes is one of those guys in the shorter tracks where you're going to have to make putts like you alluded to this week. I think that, he's in play as much as he'll ever be in an event. So I'm going to take a shot on him getting hot this week. And 60-1 felt like a pretty decent number. I mean, we've seen him hang around in tournaments before. I think he has 1 star so far this year. It was actually last week where he missed the cut because did you see he played the wrong ball out of the rough?
Yeah.
And he got penalized like 4 shots
good.
and he ended up missing the cut. But before that, I think he came second in his last event of last year at the RSM, or one of his final events of last year. So he can, kind of pop up and contend in these events. So I'll take a shot at Mackenzie Hughes this week. 60-1. It feels pretty good in this type of field.
Absolutely. I mean, 12 straight made cuts before his missed cut at the Farmers last week, which you also just mentioned the discrepancy and like the controversy which happened to him on the course last week. So, and before that, we saw him finish 2nd at the RSM, 4th at the Zozo, 6th at the Open Championship back in last July. And it's not crazy to compare him-ish to Jordan Spieth, where, he can get a super hot putter. His irons aren't always spectacular, but I think his around the green game kind of saves him most of the time. And in a course like this, where if he does happen to be striking his irons well, he's going to give himself opportunities. And if his putter's hot, he's going to give himself birdies. And if he does happen to miss greens, he can definitely get himself up and down for par. So I like Mackenzie Hughes. It's crazy that he hasn't played particularly well here. Obviously, the last 3 years he has missed cuts, but he did come in 10th back in 2017. So
yeah, so
I like it too. And it's like you're taking him around other guys. I think when Mackenzie Hughes is playing well, his number can slide, down to an unbettable range. And at this course, at the odds he's at, I thought it was a good bet. So
yeah, well, I'm glad that we're on the same page in this range. I have one more guy I'm taking in here, Russell Knox.
It's a little scary, though, I would say.
What's that?
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah. Well, it is terrifying, actually.
But we did. Well, yeah. All right.
I'm going to take Russell Knox as well.
There's some discrepancy
on his number. So he's like 50-1 on FanDuel. I think I saw like an 80-1 a few hours ago on DraftKings. So I think you could kind of look around for him because there are some good numbers hanging out there. At least there were when I last looked. But he's another guy. He's got great course history here. Tied for 7th last year. He had a 14th back in 2019, a 15th back in 2018. So he seems to kind of always play this event well. In his last 24 rounds, he's 9th in the field of ball striking, 10th in approach. So he's actually hitting his irons pretty well lately. So course history and, iron play recently alone, I think I'm going to take a shot on Russell Knox. And again, I think it would probably be beneficial to look around for those numbers because I've seen a pretty big swing on him depending on where you're looking.
Yeah, it is crazy because on DraftKings he's at 80, FanDuel is at 50. So that's 100% discrepancy with Russell Knox. And you're going to see a lot of that in the middle tier here this week. So I don't hate it. Russell Knox, coastal type player. I don't hate it. I've taken him plenty of times and been disappointed. I may look into a Russell Knox top 20 play, but as I've said the past few weeks, I am trying to shorten my top 20 cards and make them profitable. So,
well, we each had 2 last week, so we're kind of
we did.
We're on the right track with the top 20s.
We're on the right. If I didn't bet 2 units on Sam Burns, I would have had a positive week with my top 20.
I told you to watch out for him on the tougher courses.
I did. You watch your tongue, dude. I got him 90-1 to win the PGA Championship. So, anyway, Sam Burns not here this week. I also think he would be great at this tournament.
I think he would too. Yeah.
Yeah. This would be a perfect tournament for Sam Burns. Short irons, whatever. He's not here. So we'll continue because I've also considered Kevin Kisner. I haven't done it. This is a type of track I think in theory works well for Kisner. Not having to be long off the tee, but he's just not shown a ton recently. And I'm worried that actually, I guess he did play well at the Sony Open. So I take that back. I've struggled. I've struggled with Kisner here because I really have wanted to take him, and I just don't know if he's going to win. So,
yeah,
you have any reason for me to take Kisner?
For you to take Kisner?
No.
I didn't give him too much thought this week. It is weird because it is the type of event he'd win. It's actually funny. I was listening to another show last night with Rob, Joe, and the kid and Drew, and they were talking about Kisner. He had a quote before where he said he didn't like putting on POA. He complained about putting on POA, but they brought up a pretty good point that he's actually not a bad POA putter. So I don't really have a reason not to take him, I guess, if you're feeling him. It seems to be something that was set up well for him, but
yeah. Well, I've already taken a bunch of outrights, so maybe I'll consider Kiz in the top 20 market of some sort because I do think he should play well here. It's a course he does play pretty much year in and year out, but he only has one top 20. So it's tough to really think that all of a sudden he's going to pop off. But he did play well with the Sony, so I'll give him that. But we'll jump down further. Obviously, Denny McCarthy at 50. I love Denny, but 50 is just not going to do it for me. And Tom Hoagy, I will say, I think is going to play really well this week. And you guys you guys convinced me to leave him off of my top 20 card last week, and I did, and it worked out well. So Hoagy at this type of course, though, where the short irons are going to be more prevalent. I mean, he's been as elite as you can get with the short irons. He's first in proximity from 100 to 125. I really like him with those short irons. He's 8th in strokes gained approach over his last 36 rounds in this field. And if you just look at what he's done over the past couple months, 4th at the RSM, missed cut at the Sony Opens, 2nd at the Amex, missed cut at the Farmers. He's due for a top 10. So I wish I got Hoagy because he wasn't a first click for me. It didn't take him at a decent number for outright. I don't like him at 55. I don't know what DraftKings has him at 60s. I don't really love that, but I'm probably going to take him in the top 20 market. I think I'm not going to say a lock because he's Tom Hoagy, but I think there's a good chance Tom Hoagy comes in the top 20 this week.
I didn't picture you ever being like a big time Tom Hoagy guy, but he's kind of becoming one of your guys.
Yeah, I know. Well, dude, you know why? Is because he doesn't putt for shit and he hits his irons well. Like, that's my guy.
Tom Hoagy.
Yeah, Tom
we
Hoagy.
can probably get him on the show. I don't think he's got many other requests.
Oh no, he definitely doesn't. So, but that's that. I do like Tom Hoagy. We'll move on. Minwoo Lee. If believe it or not, he is a top 50 player in the world. He is a 65-1. Sahith Theegala at 65-1 as well. Andrew Putnam, Matt Kuchar, Charlie Hoffman, Chris Kirk, Lucas Glover also at 65, and then Aaron Rye is at 75, who we saw play well last week as well.
Yeah. By the way, that was my first time really watching Aaron Rye. The 2 gloves, I cannot get behind it.
That's his move.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say I've played with 2 gloves before. I'm not a 2-glove hater. I've done it, but usually in the pouring rain or snow, I played high school golf where in the Northeast it could get dicey out there. In California, 2 gloves, dude, looks weird.
Yeah, no, especially when you're playing the way he did, kind of hacking it around out there.
Well, I mean, he was in the final group on Saturday. So
he was not really in contention.
Well,
he was not really in contention once he got going in the final round. So
yeah. Probably another
Aaron. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I've heard a lot of people talking Lucas Glover up.
Yeah, your boy. I was going to bring him up, the glove.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like if any week there's gonna be this week. I threw too many bullets out immediately on people that weren't him, and here we are. And similar to Tom Hoagy, I may have to toss in a top 20 bet on Lucas Glover because I do think his irons will play here. He's top 15 in strokes gained approach his last 36 rounds in this field, and it does feel like an event that he's going to play well. And we haven't seen him play poorly, and he's played well here over his last couple of years. I mean, he's played here 3 times since 2016, 11th, a 7th, and then most recently a 50th. So I don't hate the Lucas Glover play this week. I think I've just been burned on him so many times thinking he's going to win an outright. He's the type of guy, though, if he plays well Thursday, Friday, and there's still a decent number on Saturday, I'll probably bet him live.
Yeah, I mean, he has won a U.S. Open.
People don't forget. People forget, but people don't forget.
It feels hard to believe, but he has won one.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, the guys I just mentioned, I'm also considering Andrew Putnam for a top 20. The guy's been pretty solid for me in the top 20 market overall, and he's played pretty well. I mean, he's 14th at the Amex, 27th on the Open. I think, again, he's the type of guy that on a birdie fest, not birdie fest, so to speak, but a guy that can make birdies with his putter and not really rely particularly on his irons, might do well here, but it's not like he has tons of success here. So a lot of people talking up Andrew Putnam this week. Again, it's just a bunch of numbers that are slashed less than what I'm typically used to seeing him at. I like Putnam over 100. So
it feels weird. Like some of these guys in this range, it's like I wouldn't mind them as like, deeper shots. We're used to seeing them so much deeper that it makes it so hard to take them in this range. It really does.
Yeah.
Even getting to the next group of people like Brandt Snedeker at 80-1.
Well, yeah, let's get into it. Brandt Snedeker, Joel Damon, Stuart Sink, Pat Perez, Keith Mitchell, Charles Schwartzel, Patrick Rogers, Troy Merritt, Ches Reavie, Taylor Moore, Grayson Sigg, Alex Smalley are all under 100, and then we're over 100. And again, all these numbers feel slashed because we don't typically see these guys on a consistent basis under 100-1. And this is what the field is indicating. So did you love any guys in this range?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about the 2 guys I considered. Should I start off with just the guy I picked?
Just say it,
yeah. Keith Mitchell. It's the disrespect to put my boy Keith Mitchell at 80-1 in this field. I mean, he is like 4 times the number of Maverick McNeely, Cameron Tringale. Like, what are we doing here? He's won. I mean, are you kidding me? He's 4 times that number. Explain to me why. He's not playing bad. I mean, he didn't play great last week, but he played really well at the Sony a few weeks ago. I don't understand. He was like 7th there, I think. What the hell? Like, what are we doing where he's 4 times those guys' number? So I'm going to have to take him this week. He does actually, because he's like so good off the tee, which we talked about not really mattering that much this week, but on a shorter course, he's able to like club down a lot, and he's actually in courses less than 7,200 yards, 2nd in strokes gained off the tee, which isn't like the most crucial stat this week, but it's going to put himself in position each hole really to be going at those greens from distances that he should be able to have a better shot at putting himself close to the hole in. He's also 9th in par 4 efficiency in his last 24 rounds in this field between 350 400 yards. So that kind of goes into what I was just saying. Some of these shorter courses, shorter holes, he takes advantage of because he's so good off the tee. And he's actually not terrible around the greens either. He's 36 in his last 24 rounds around the green, which could be important this week too. So his putting on POA is disastrous. I will admit that. But aside from that, I mean, I think talent alone and what I just mentioned, there's no reason why, especially me, I'm not going to take him at 80-1 in this field.
That's
the average person too. I mean, come on.
Well, it all makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Keith Mitchell. That's why modeling wise, he's not going to work out too well because he's short irons aren't the best. He's not a good putter on POA, and his iron game in general has been not great, but the upside with Keith Mitchell is definitely there. So I get it. And I'm going to be doing something similar with a guy who I've taken relatively recently, and I've definitely talked about, Joel Damon. Caught him at 90-1. He's made 4 consecutive cuts here. Nothing really spectacular. He's finished 14th 2 years ago.
That's not bad.
And it feels like a type of course where like the driving distance isn't going to matter. He's coming off 2 missed cuts, but prior to that, he had been playing really good golf. So I kind of think that the upside on Joel on a 90-1 ticket is worth the price of admission. So it's another coastal type course where I like Joel in those type of events. I mean, he's a proven winner.
I will actually say too, to Joel's credit, like I feel like he's like a big like a pro-am type guy. Yeah, I mean, he's got like that personality where like
right.
He lives for like kind of yucking it up with people and like just
right. He's not flustered by the pro-am style.
Yeah, no, he's a very like nonchalant guy. So I feel like this type of event is not gonna like kind of throw him off at all. In fact,
which we haven't really talked about, but that could be something to speak about. I mean, playing like 6-hour rounds with guys who are not good at golf, who are celebrities, so to speak, or there are celebrities there, and then there are people who are not celebrities. But
yeah,
either way, it's gonna be a long ass round. So Joel Damon fits the mold of being able to handle that. So I do like that. And he's probably going to be my last full outright of the week at 90-1. I don't hate the Keith Mitchell call at all. And I'm sure there will be Trent Snedeker callers this week who think that he might have a chance this week. But I think we can get down into the deep stuff. I mean, do you have any guys over 100 that you really like this week?
Yeah, I have a guy. I'm going to search for another number on him. He's 100-1 right now on FanDuel. I'm going to take a shot at Adam Svensson.
Svensson, yeah.
Canadian. Yeah, so I was very impressed with him a few weeks ago at the Sony Open watching. He came in 7th there, and he was looking really sharp. He was on TV a lot. He's top 20 in the field of strokes gained on short courses. So a little bit about him, kind of some of these stats are skewed because he just got back off the Korn Ferry Tour. But he won twice in the Korn Ferry Tour last year, including the playoff event where he beat Bronson Burgoon. But he does have some game. And one thing I actually like about him and his potential is, so people who know these Korn Ferry and young guys better than we do are the people who are constantly around them on tour. He's working right now. His caddy is Tim Tucker, who used to caddy for Bryson DeChambeau. So these caddies, I mean, if you're coming off the bag of a major champion, you're not going to just jump on anyone's bag. There has to be something in Svensson's game where he would go to him. Like, he must think he's somewhat, legit. Otherwise, he would not just hop on his bag to start the year. So I'm going to trust my boy Tim Tucker, and I'm going to take a shot at Adam Svensson this week. And I'm going to see what kind of number I can get on him. I'm sure I can get better than 100-1 somewhere. But I don't have that up in front of me, so we will find out. But yeah, I'm going to take a stab on him this week.
All right. I don't hate it at all, obviously. Yeah, I don't hate that. I hit a matchup bet on Svensson last week on the weekend, so I do like Svensson. It definitely wasn't Saturday because he played very poorly on Saturday. But
you're getting on board?
No, I'm not getting on board because I have another guy who if you've listened to the podcast enough, you know that this name's going to come out of my mouth at 100-1 this week, Matthew Neesmith.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, back-to-back AT&T Pro-Am appearances where he's finished 11th and 16th. And again, we know that the around agreement putter game.
Didn't you come close to canceling Neesmith at one point?
What's up?
Didn't you come close to canceling Neesmith at one point?
I mean, it really takes a lot for me to like fully cancel someone. So on an approach type course like this, Neesmith is third in strokes gain or in proximity, 100-125, third in strokes gain in that, 17 strokes gain approach. I think the shorter courses could be a fit for him going down the line. I mean, he obviously has 2 top 20s here back to back, so he obviously has some familiarity here as well. So 100-1. I'm glad there's still triple digits because I think he's getting enough notoriety. He's popped off on enough leaderboards randomly throughout the week when he does get hot. Even last week, so to speak, where you texted me saying, "Oh, I wish you took your boy Neesmith to be first round leader," and I'm like, "Well, just wait. He'll fuck it up. He won't do it." And he didn't. But there's enough out there. I mean, he finished 34th last week, so it's not get crazy. But I will say, I think got a long shot on Neesmith is worth it this week. He's one of those guys that I think eventually will get a PGA Tour win. And when you're getting 100-1 odds, it's like I have 3 years left of betting on Neesmith. So.
I'm gonna be excited for when it happens and you're on it.
I just hope that he doesn't turn into a Maverick McNeely where he hasn't won and he's at 21-1. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I mean, we've already got into that, but it's shocking.
It's very shocking. So other than that, I don't have any more outright plays, and I'm trying to limit my top 20 exposure this week because I do think there is a level of randomness to this event. It is a pro-am. I got murdered at the Amex with top 20s, so
yeah, me too. I might just top 20 a majority of the guys that I took outright since they're, I mean, at least in my situation, they're all like 50-1 or above anyway. But let's take a second look at that. Is producer Boss have any thoughts?
Yeah, let's bring Boss back in here, see what he's got. What do you got for outrights, Boss? And then we'll get into our one and done thoughts.
Yeah, so we are all aligned this week, which is really probably not a good thing if we're being honest here.
Well, we say that every week sometimes because we do end up liking a lot of the same guys, but with this course, we did a whole Danny Berger last year.
There we go. That popped into my mind as soon as the words came out that it's probably not good. So maybe it is good. I don't know. So for the people still listening at this point, I have a slim card. You guys kind of know my style. I don't go too far down the board. But the two guys I'm on that those two have already talked about is Seabez and Mito. So
okay,
take that for what it's worth. We all hit Berger last year here at the Amex. We have 2 opportunities to hit a group winner again this year. So take that into account when you're placing your bets, people.
Okay. That's enough for me. Do you guys have one and done thoughts? Because I'm off to a horrid start. I'm in 3,600th place out of 4,400 in the race of the Mayo Cup. Very not good.
I might even be behind you, which is impressive.
I don't think it's possible.
I didn't
well,
check
if I'm not, I'm right above you, like there. So
Tony Finau was not good last week.
No, Tony Finau was awful.
Well, yeah. My thought for the week is I'm going to take Jason Day. He's been as consistent as anyone here, and if the Jason Day experience implodes, like I'd rather just get it out of the way now. So if he plays horribly here, I would be surprised, but also I wouldn't be devastated if I don't have him to use for the rest of the year. That being said, I could really use a top 10. So,
yeah, I second that. I'm on the Day wagon too. I think Day is going to be extremely popular for a one and done, as he should be. I mean, he has incredible course form, and there's really no other top dog options here. And at this point in the season, you just need to stack cash, especially when you're at the bottom of the list like us. So, Jason Day, here we come.
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm like considering using Cantlay just because of how well he's playing. I think that he's safe. And this tournament's kind of a crapshoot. But I mean, yeah, you hate to waste him this early in the year if he's gonna have a breakout year. There's just not that many other good options at the top. Day's not bad. I don't trust Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Spieth. I mean, he's obviously a former champion, but
yeah, I mean, he's just playing so poorly right now. It's like it's so hard to trust him. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think long and hard about it because this is where I would pick like a Mito or something, and then that's just a stupid option because I don't need to really use him at all throughout the year.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's tough. That's a tough predicament, sir. But I will say, just as a quick recap, I am on Jason Day, Seamus Power, Christian Bezainhout, Mackenzie Hughes, Mito, and Joel Damon for outrights. And then in terms of top 20s, this would be a pretty nice, comparison with those guys. And I'm also probably going to add Kisner. And I'm also going to be taking Matthew Neesmith as a bomb. But Putnam will probably be on my top 20. Hoagy will be on my top 20. And forget if I had mentioned someone else, but those are it for now.
Outright, I'm looking at Seabez, Mackenzie Hughes, Mito, Russell Knox, Killer Keith, and Adam Svensson deep. And then top 20, probably some sort of combination of those guys. I might hop on Kisner with you as well because as we brought his name up, I didn't really have much against him this week. So top 20 feels like a pretty good play. And yeah, I think that pretty much concludes where I'm at right now with the card.
And the Seabez Mito group play. So I love it. A group play on a 50 to 60 type long shot is beautiful. And obviously we all got the local play with Mito at 60. So we'll take that.
Yeah.
But it will be fun to not have any of these 54-hole cut events again. Pro-Ams will be in pass after this week, and Waste Management Phoenix Open is next week, which is something to look forward to.
For what it's worth, too, we'll give the people a little extra draws and fades group play. We are all on Joaquin Neiman in the Saudi event, too. So if the people are looking for the draws and fades double group win this week, that's where it's coming. So
to Neiman, Mito,
double.
Chilean Express.
The Chilean double. That would, I mean, I can only imagine what that pays out.
I mean, I have to put it in now.
Yeah, no, we just said it. The Chilean double. It's
the Chilean double.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, it's going to be good.
All right. Until next week, episode 86 is in the books. Waste Management Phoenix Open next week. Let's go.